Awesome. Well, good evening, everyone. Welcome. Oh, standing room in the man. You all came to see our fine, consummate SPD professionals, didn't you? Not little old me. Okay. Well, welcome. I'm so honored that every last one of you all took the time out of your busy schedules to share this space with me and my most immediate colleague here, Layla Gassar. First off, everyone, round of applause for Layla. Thank you, Layla. If you like my work, to the extent you do, that is a direct reflection of Layla and Elaine, my chief of staff, who is not here today. Ian, our new legislative director. And if you don't like my work, I'm right here. You can tell me to my face. That's cool too. But I am who I am because I have a strong team of great colleagues like Layla who help me do more and serve all 105,000 plus individual constituents, including you all. So I want you all to know that I really do wake up every day feeling grateful for the opportunity to represent you all in your specific interest at Seattle City Hall. It is an obligation that I do not take lightly. And the fact that there's so many people here that took the time out of their busy schedule to show up in this room today just lets me know, reminds me of the importance of the work that we do, and reminds me to always stay connected. As Shelly here can attest, I see my neighbor Shelly regularly, and I see a few frequent or a few people I've had the pleasure of interacting with in multiple occasions at various office hours that we've done. So it's good to see some familiar faces in the room, and for everyone else, welcome. Again, I'm your Seattle City Council member. So I was asked to just come share a few comments. My hope is that most of this would be a dialogue. We have some prepared questions that were shared in advance, and we'll address those at the end, and then Q&A. I will note though, as was alluded to, we are double booked tonight. I'm immediately after. I actually need to leave. I think the hard stop. Layla is my district affairs director and scheduler and my enforcer. I learned I don't want no smoke with Layla. So, but I do have to unfortunately leave at 7:10 tonight to go to my next event. It's a tribal engagement, double booked. But I love being back in the district. I live here. I'm here all the time, every day. Right before this, we had a great event with the Washington State Black Legacy Institute. Got a private tour from the founder. They've had a few soft events, like soft launch events, but I would encourage you, they haven't had a formal launch event. When they do, I would encourage you all to check that out. Carve out time. It's directly across, it's in Admiral, right across the street from Hiawatha. Black history is American history, and it's all of our histories, and it's something I think we can all be proud of. So check out our history and a new, unique museum, if you will, right here in West Seattle. So, but again, so asked to just come share a few words about what we've been up to, and then again, take that Q&A, and we'll continue the conversation as well. And given where we're at, we are at SPD, the Southwest Precinct, right? So, and I'm aware of the audience, so I thought that I'd focus most of my comments on public and community safety. And at the end, Q&A time allowing, we can dive a little deeper on potentially other non-public safety topics, but we'll focus on that for now. So it's been 8.5, 9 months since I officially raised my right hand and sworn to serve you all as best as I can and protect and uphold the Constitution of the country, the state, and live up to the city charter. And again, it's been an absolute privilege every day being able to do that. Also, shout out to Steve Humphrey. I see another constituent in the audience that I work with regularly. So many familiar faces. But so the last 8-9 months now, however long it's been, really focused on two things. One is public safety. I derived from the last election a strong mandate to take action on public safety, do everything I can legislatively to take stronger action on and make better, more urgent progress on some of these public safety challenges. We'll talk a little bit about what's been done so far in a moment and what is on the roadmap ahead as well. So that has been my highest priority. Also really important for me is good old-fashioned nitty-gritty constituent issues. So Layla happens to be my district affairs director, so front-facing role with many of you all and our neighbors here in West Seattle, but everyone in my office, from my chief of staff to our legislative director, everyone knows that my highest priority is you all. You are my customer. You are a taxpayer. You all elected me, whether you voted for me or not. And so it is my highest responsibility to serve you all. Everyone knows that. So me and my office aspire to be as responsive, available, and accessible as we can be to directly serve and benefit you all. It means being a good conduit and connector oftentimes between my office to the relevant city department or agency. So, for example, SDOT. There are some signage issues in a neighborhood, and we worked after long conversations and discussions with the neighbors and the community members directly and SDOT. They were getting stuck. That's a good time to escalate to my office. And they were seeing no action, so they reached out to me. We met. Lo and behold, we got some commitments for some signage. Core, like little nitty-gritty stuff.
But not up yet.
Not yet. Yeah, we got a commitment though, right? Yeah. Things like that. So I want you all to know that I use these, so I hold and host regular office hours, and I use that as an opportunity to inform my policy decisions. Rather than the other way around. I'm not making policy, and my goal is not to make policy and then see how you react to that. My goal is to make sure that any policy and legislative decisions and resource allocation decisions I do make are 100% informed, and they're informed by my direct engagements with you all. They're informed by my office's engagements with you all. They're informed by your wonderful emails and phone calls and communications to me in my office. And so anyways, those two things at a high level policy area is public safety, and then again, good old fashioned core nitty gritty constituent neighborhood level issues. That's what I'm focused on. That's what I'm concerned with. So on the public safety front, or just kind of community safety more broadly, it was really important to me early in this process, in this journey, at the start of the year, to be intentional and line up a number of listening sessions and walking tours with small businesses, small business owners. I think our partner, I see the West Seattle blog here, I think they documented at least one of those that we did in West Seattle. But I represent 5 neighborhoods within the city of Seattle. West Seattle, obviously where we're at, South Park, Soto, Pioneer Square, and Georgetown. We set up individual walking tours with small business owners to better understand some of the issues. No surprise, many of them were related to public safety. And those conversations definitely guided and inspired my outlook or worldview, if you will, from a city perspective on the challenges at hand and the opportunity we have at hand to make better progress. So set up that series of small business walking tours and listening sessions. Met with all 3 chiefs. We now have 3 chiefs in the city of Seattle, so it's no longer just the police chief, no longer just the fire chief Scroggins. We now have Chief Smith, or Chief Smith Barden, or Chief Barden, I'm confused. I need to learn their name. They recently changed it, married. But Chief Amy, let's call her Amy, that's accurate. Chief Amy leads and is the chief of our new alternative response unit that we call our CARE team. So not everything, as we know, as we learn, warrants a response from our city's finest, Officer Barreto, for example, and his colleagues. Some things do, but not everything does. So really focused on public safety. Met with all chiefs, all 3 chiefs, on multiple occasions. had some really great dialogue. Some of those conversations informed kind of how I show up and vote and make amendments to certain public safety related pieces of legislation. Visited all the 3 precincts, in many cases multiple times, that comprise the geographic boundaries which represent District 1, again, which I serve. So I've been here multiple times. I think that's where Officer Guerrero and I first interacted. But we're old buds now at this point. We seem to see each other at every single community event and occasion. But been to multiple roll calls here. The South Precinct, which serves, it is not South Park, Georgetown, right? Also, the West Precinct, there's a narrow slice on SPD's map. Kilo 2 is what the West Precinct serves. This is the area that I represent that comprises is it Kilo 2 or King 2? King 2. I knew it. Yeah. So I'm learning, the lingo. I'm learning the lingo. King 2. So I visited all of them with the whole purpose and goal to talk to rank and file officers and leadership that are present, and just to engage with them, share updates. No different, not materially different, I guess, than what I'm doing with you all, but to better understand their needs, their priorities, and also on my continuing ongoing mission to earn trust with you all, every single city worker and employee, including SPD. So those conversations have been really insightful and empowering from my perspective as well. It's been great. So doing those, again, public safety, visits, earning trust, focusing on a number of public safety legislative initiatives. Now let's talk about some of that early action. Let's talk about some of that early legislative action. It's been a lot. It's not one thing, there's not one signature initiative that I'm prepared to hang my hat on and say, this is what we did on public safety. Yeah, guys. Because even if there was, we all see what's going on in our streets continuing. We all recognize the need and opportunity to do better, to reduce gun violence and property crime. So we've done a lot to put ourselves in a better position to address some of these challenges longer term on a more durable, sustained basis. But it's gonna take a while too. So some of those things is, proud we approve the recent SPA contract to make sure that our officers in Seattle are the highest paid officers in the state of Washington. And my highest public safety priorities at a very high level, officer hiring and recruitment, also reducing gun violence and property crime, and then grow and scale our alternative response. Talked a little bit about all those, right, already. So with that first thing, approving the SPA contract, parties are still negotiating for that next layer, next contract, but we made Seattle officers the highest paid in the state. And there's more work to do. That's not going to solve all of our problems, but I was elected in part to hire more police. It's not going to, and that responsibility is not lost upon me. And I've made clear during the campaign, every time I get now that I get to serve you all and govern, is that we're not going to solely hire more police and think all of our public safety challenges are going to go away overnight. There's more that needs to be done, right? And that's part of why I strongly support the expansion of an alternative response, other prevention and intervention efforts before enforcement comes into play. But yes, enforcement is important. So SPA contract, approved that. Police recruitment bill, unsexy things of city government. Proud to support, and my amendments were passed and included in a bill to streamline and simplify the police recruitment process. Very complex today, very complex. We are competing as a city for the best talent across the region. We're competing with Bellevue and the likes of Kent and Renton and Washington State Patrol for talent. and so we added so I was proud to support a bill to help streamline and simplify that process. So we did that. We also have, I was proud to support a piece of legislation to address dangerous vacant buildings that grants the fire chief additional powers to intervene and take action for known dangerous, unsafe, vacant buildings. That's a challenge. And by the way, I heard that from many of you all. The risk there and the hazard there. So proud to support that bill. Also, the citywide expansion of our care department, of our chief, Amy, that I mentioned a moment ago, our alternative response. During our recent mid-year supplemental budget, I was proud to support an expansion to make sure, because previously, that program and that response capability was limited to a very narrow, kind of isolated stretch of the city, downtown. It was all informed by data, but it was a limited kind of trial deployment, if you will. So, want to make sure over time we grow and scale and expand that capability to be a true 24/7, 365 citywide response. So we put our city in a great position to do exactly that through our recent investments to expand the care team. We also passed a piece of legislation that authorized what's called automated license plate technology, ALPR. And given the staffing shortages that are well documented at this point, it's going to take us some time to restore officer staffing levels. In the meantime, we need to use and leverage technology and do it in a smart, privacy-conscious way to help our officers do more. So this technology basically allows scanning of license plates, and it flags stolen vehicles and maybe vehicles, for example, that might have been involved in an amber alert or a silver alert. But again, takes out the manual sort of entry process and allow them to do more. Proud to support that bill. In July, just as an aside, because when you think about public safety and community safety more holistically and from a comprehensive perspective, we have a charter. I have a charter response, and I own it. I have a charter responsibility to help keep all of us safe, and it's by charter I mean Constitution at the city level. But thinking about public and community safety more holistically, that also includes better designs and better investments in our transportation infrastructure. So we worked closely with a number of community members to shape the contours of the levy. There's a renewal that we propose. Voters are going to decide. You all are going to have a say. Our neighbors across the city are going to have the final say in about 2 months. But there's some important safety investments in there to make sure that we keep people safe on our roads. Proud of that. Also, safe roads and safe transit. Want to create a safer environment for all. In that proposed levy, for example, we added additional funding to make sure that we have more personnel presence on transit. Look, I take the transit regularly. I've seen a few of you all on the transit regularly. And I'm proud of it, and I want more people to take the transit. It's a choice. It's a choice, though. And some people, and I've heard enough, some people don't feel comfortable taking the transit for whatever reason. Most of it is public and community safety related. People don't feel safe on the bus. True story. When I first started taking the bus regularly downtown to City Hall, my first week in January, I saw someone smoking fentanyl in the back of the bus. A few weeks later, I saw someone, unapologetically, by the way, stripping copper wire, likely stolen. Look, people don't feel safe. And you can say, oh, well, people need to get over their own insecurity, and that doesn't actually. No. Everyone deserves to feel safe in their own neighborhoods and communities and public services, including transit. So as part of this proposed transportation levy, I was proud to add additional funding to make sure we have more personnel presence. It's sort of broad and vague, but it allows us to go on top of the existing Metro, for example. Metro has an obligation, a contractual obligation to provide appropriate transit security. But we do need to, I think, increase presence, and not just transit security, but also like wayfinders. There's a really cool, innovative new behavioral health response, like uniformed folks, civilians, that King County Metro is launching. There's any number of personnel, creative ways that we can do it, but we need more presence and to help contribute to a safer environment on transit. And I'm proud of the work, by the way, I'm proud of the work that people the workers at King County Metro do every day. We have a contract, the city has the contract with them to operate any number of service lines for our city. And I look forward to continuing to partnering with them and you all to make sure that we increase ridership, have a better, safer experience, more welcoming experience for all. And then, ultimately, like I said, voters are going to decide on that, on the levy, including you all. The next thing we worked on, public safety related, is the SCORE jail, which you might have heard is referred to as our SCORE jail. Now, that allows us to, we authorized I was proud to support a piece of legislation that authorizes the mayor, the executive, to enter into an interlocal agreement with SCORE. It's it's an amalgam of South County cities. They created their own jail space, not unlike King County Jail, which is a government-run jail. We have a contract with the county to have jail bed space for a number of reasons. Unfortunately, I think it's 400 or so beds is the capacity thereabouts. For a number of reasons, unfortunately, today we're only able to have around 70 or so. 70 to 90 of those beds because of capacity and staffing shortage. And if you've checked the West Seattle blog recently, crime hasn't significantly gone down. So what ends up happening is a catch and release, and we are unable to use jail as a tool, one tool. It's not the only tool, and it's not appropriate in every single instance. But yes, it is appropriate in some. And we don't have flexibility today to make sure people, when warranted, everyone when warranted, spend the night in jail. So so I'm proud to support this SCORE contract to authorize us to do that. By the way, it's a debilitating morale issue for our officers as well. You should know that. Not being able to arrest someone and take them to jail if they commit a crime that 5 years ago, before COVID, they would have been in jail, at least spending the night, right? In any event. So, supported that bill. Also recently, as part of the mid-year supplemental budget process, we are proud to support $12.25 million in investments for student mental and behavioral health. It's a huge look. Like I said, public safety, we're not going to just hire more cops. Make no mistake about it, we are going to do that as part of our broader strategy. But I also strongly support community-led public health approaches to community safety. And a good way to do that is prevention. Prevention. And we've been hit in this city, in our region, in particular, harder than others, sadly, with an epidemic of too many guns on the streets, bad combination of too many guns on the streets, and in our community in particular, we were on remote-only school limbo a bit long. We seem to be on it a bit longer than many other school districts across even the state, let alone the country. When all the schools were sort of magically opening, and I remember, I got a young kid, I remember the schools opening like crazy across the country, and like, man, it's only a matter of time here in Seattle. It took an order of the governor of the state of Washington in April of 21 to require kids to go back to school 4 days a week for 2 hours. Imagine what kind of impact we're living through it right now, I'll be honest, I think, and we're going to continue to. I'm not here to point fingers or blame out. This is counterproductive. Why? But I do think that is a factor. Contributing to some of the youth violence and youth crime issues we're facing now, we're going to continue to face for a while. So that's why it's important in making these appropriate investments in student mental health on a going forward basis. Let's see. Recently, soda, stay out of drug area. Soap, stay out of prostitution area. These are zones to prohibit certain people if a court grants it. If a court grants it, certain people, you can't be anywhere in the city you want. Can't be here, these narrow sections. That we know that is backed by data, by the way, from the prosecutor's office, police. We know to be problem areas. You be anywhere in the city, you just can't be here. Used to be in the city because this policy, a similar form of this policy used to exist. Jurisdictions like Everett and other cities already have a similar policy in place. We used to have a similar policy in place in Seattle a number of years ago, up until about 2008, 2010, or something like that. Don't hold me to it. And approximately 40% of the city, it covered 40% of the geographic territory of the city. If I had a map here, I'd say 40% is where it used to be. Now, pursuant to recommendations, we commissioned an audit. Council President Nelson commissioned an audit from an independent audit to address the drug overdose crisis and for the city to make better progress on that. It had a series of 7 or 8 different concrete recommendations on here's what you can do, city, to do better, to better prevent fentanyl overdoses and take better action to reduce some of the associated challenges we see with that. So one of those was adopt a place-based approach, including enforcement, to the drug challenge. So this soda legislation is specifically made pursuant to that recommendation. And I also supported a bill, an amendment, and I'm proud of it, to better clarify the intent, to make sure that we're not just excluding people from certain areas. It requires the judge to consider someone's status as, requires the judge to consider where that person lives, where they may or may not be receiving treatment, and employment, right? So, to make sure it's going to be equitably enforced. We need to do something. Doing nothing or proceeding with the status quo hasn't worked. So we've done that. That passed the Public Safety Committee a few days ago. And let's see. So in the past month alone, I know encampments are on a lot of your minds.
Yes.
Encampments are on a lot of your minds. And in the past month, we've responded to at least, I always try to get us to quantify and figure out, better assess the situation. We've responded to at least 40 encampment-related constituent emails and comms. A good first step, by the way, for that is reporting the encampments through the Find It, Fix It app. That is a good first step. I've heard directly from many of you on the bus, grocery store, people reaching out, picking up the phone. I see it, I'm around, and I appreciate it. People sharing their concerns, understandably so, with letting our unhoused neighbors live in unsafe, unsanitary conditions. People want the city to do more, both from a prevention standpoint and once it's here. So the encampment in particular on Trenton, 26 and Trenton, that encampment, Been getting a lot of phone calls and emails and comms. And I want you to know, me and my office have been working very closely with the mayor's office to make sure that we resolve that encampment once and for all and better connect our unhoused neighbors there with shelter and services. I personally reached out to Deputy Mayor Washington, who's the mayor's sort of lead on all things encampment related and oversees the Unified Care Team, and expressed my concern and frustration with that encampment. Got a commitment a few weeks ago that they were going to resolve that in the next coming weeks. So in the next few weeks, so any day now, looking forward to that happening. But I know that encampment in particular, I hear from you all. I see it. So we'll continue to make better progress on that and monitor that situation. With respect to there's the care department, and then there's the which is alternative responses. Someone suffering from a behavioral health crisis, alternative response. It's a non-sworn officer response. And confusingly, there's also the Unified Care Team, which are our frontline outreach workers for homelessness response and encampments. And they go in and do the work of trying to meet people where they're at and understanding their needs, identifying a list of options of treatment and housing, and doing it the thoughtful, compassionate, humane way of connecting people with shelter and services. It takes time. You don't just go and do it overnight. But I support it and was proud to. In this mid-year supplemental budget, an expansion of that, because today they operate under certain hours, and when they do the hard work of reaching out to our unhoused neighbors, people aren't around during the traditional hours when they go. So we need to be able to show up later or on weekends. So I support the mayor proposed in his mid-year supplemental budget, and I supported an expansion of that. So in any event, how are we doing on time?
We should definitely take some questions.
Oh, okay. Let me take these three quick ones that I heard first, and then Q&A. Yikes. Okay. I think these are fairly straightforward, but one of them talks about the TLDR. Too long to read is we talked about some of the factors contributing to police shortages. Talked about our SIM strategy to expand training capacity, streamlining the recruitment process, new recruits, retention, all that fun stuff that I mentioned a moment ago. In this my last newsletter, friendly plug and shout out, please get on my newsletter list if you're not already. It's a good way, very intentional, reporting out and sharing information and how I'm approaching certain key decisions and soliciting feedback and sharing out helpful city resources. So please, if you're not already, subscribe to our newsletter, which you can do on our council website. If you have one, forward it to your neighbor who might be interested as well. But anyways, this asks about the $800,000 that I announced in one of my newsletters authorized towards police marketing, hiring and recruitment marketing. And so proud to have supported that one. Again, building back our force is going to take time. Marketing is an important dimension of that, but it's not the only thing. Someone asked where it came from. It came from the general fund. The general fund is where the source of those specific funding. Next, $12.25 million towards student mental health. Someone asks, what's the tie to marijuana revenue? Are we taxing using marijuana revenue as a part of that? No. The answer is today, no. Those investments for student mental health were from Jumpstart, which tax big businesses. And there's only a certain amount of businesses that are subject to this tax, namely those that pay a total compensation of a certain amount and have at least one employee with an annual compensation of $182,000 plus. And so there's only a certain subset of businesses. Unfortunately, it's hard to know for sure because the taxpayer information is confidential. Whether it's a marijuana operator, that's confidential, but you can kind of surmise, okay, there's only so many employees, Amazon, they're definitely one of them, right? But to my knowledge, best as we were able to track down, no marijuana businesses were subject to that tax. Let me take one or two. Go ahead. First hand up.
If you wouldn't mind just giving your name and either a neighborhood or organization you represent, that would be great. And please keep your question concise so we can try to get to a few of your names.
My name's Alexei. I'm an on-site coordinator for a property just acquired by the Seattle King County Combined community at 11th and Roxbury. And this whole row, we're all here to just report one encampment that's taken up 3 parking spaces. There's peeing on the steps, leaving trash. And our seniors need a place to park, a safe place to leave. We haven't started our youth services yet because of this issue. So we just hoping to get that encampment up there. And our neighbors are here too. 11th and Roxbury.
Thank you. If you haven't already, please report it and find it, fix it.
We've reported it like 20, 30 times.
Yep.
There's neighbors here. There's probably like 20 plus people here just for that one encampment.
So
We've also come to the precinct.
Yep.
We've sent emails, and it's really unclear how to make this a priority.
Thank you. So offline, please. Layla's can stay around longer than me, and so.
I just want to make sure you caught a visual of how many people.
I see every last one of you all, neighbors. Thank you. Thank you for being here.
Over here, and then we'll go to Jen.
So I live on Morgan Street.
Yep.
And since the pandemic, the traffic has been considerably more on Morgan Street. It's constantly a race up the hill to the light or down the hill. I've seen pedestrians almost get hit. I've seen cars get hit. We have a bus stop right in front of our house of the kids in the morning, and they have to cross that street, and it's blind coming up the hill. And so cars are speeding up the hill, and they don't see kids until you hear screeching. And then recently there's been construction at the bottom of the hill, and there's the big trucks. They're going too fast before they have to start heading down, and now they're using their air brakes, which, as anyone knows, is extremely loud, and I also don't think legal in this city. Anyway, in the past, I was told nothing could be done because it was a major thoroughfare, but I'm calling BS on that because Beach Drive, 48, they have speed bumps, they have traffic calming measures. What I want today is to walk out here with names and emails of somebody I can talk to about putting some traffic calming measures in on Morgan Street to prevent more situations.
What's the intersection?
Yeah, Morgan and what?
Yeah. What's the intersection? Just
Well,
so
Morgan between 35th and all the way down the hill. I personally live on 37th, so that's right where it starts to go down. And the only time we get a break is during a snow day when nobody wants to go down the hill.
Yeah. So these micro neighborhood levels, like traffic safety issues, really important to me. We've already helped out so many ways of connecting. So we'd be happy to connect. We have two of them right here from a legislative side. The executive department directly responsible. I help write laws and appropriate resources. I'm not a smart engineer and like design with those best. And then even if I did, I don't go do. I don't execute. So we rely heavily on our executive department partners, in this case SDOT, to go do. So you have 2 of the emails right here, Rob.Saka at Seattle.gov, Layla.Gassar at Seattle.gov from the legislative side. We'd be happy to help connect you with and advocate on your behalf. We do that all the time. So thank you for sharing.
I'm also happy to assist with that too. Layla and I's business card is both over on the table. Please grab that. Jen, and then we'll go here, and then I believe that's all that Rob has time for.
Councilmember, just real quick while I have your ear, I was part of the soda and soap, I guess, listening during the public safety committee. For those of you who were not, that was a 5-hour-long process because it was delayed for an hour and a half by disruption. So in light of the disrespect and the property defacing and the pure invalidation that you all face, please also share my appreciation with your colleagues and Councilmember Rob Saka as well, just for your strict composure and your continued respect throughout that. I think that spoke widely to this issue at hand with soda and soap. And I personally just appreciated how you all handled that situation. So just wanted to share that while we have your ear here.
Excellent feedback. Thank you so much for being engaged, for being present there. I kind covered a lot. I didn't cover the details of that particular meeting. But yeah, everything we do engenders a lot of passion and feelings, and I understand it. And it's my job to be cannon fodder number one.
Councilmember, do you have time for one more?
I do want to finish out my comment here. Cannon fodder number one. And there's a time, place, and manner. Like, as a veteran, I fought for this country in uniform, for people's constitutional rights to exercise free speech, protest. There's a time, place, and manner for everything, and violently and rudely disrupting and intending to harass, bully, and intimidate, and disrupting the important council business. It's not appropriate. Yeah, they also defaced and tagged city property, taxpayer property, your property, right out front, on the entrance, on the steps leading up to the entrance of the chamber. It is what it is. No, I'm not going to accept that. That's not my new normal, and I will continue to call that nonsense out and do my best to shut it down when it presents itself. We can disagree without being disagreeable, and we can exercise our constitutional rights. We're also allowing the important micro governments and global business. One last question. I'm going to beg for forgiveness from our tribal partners at this event when I get there. But yeah.
Thank you.
I'd like to circle back to where you talked about in 2 weeks that they're going to hopefully fix this transit situation. And I go down to that post office almost every day because my mailboxes were broken into. And I see the children coming from the high school, coming down at lunchtime, coming down after school, and the people in the canton are interacting with girls, with boys, and we have children who are not as street smart, and I really ask you, what do we do in 2 weeks? Do we come and see you? Who do we call? Because the encampment has grown large.
Yeah.
And it has expanded on 2 sides of the street now. Some are entrenched, and I feel for people. However, the children have a right, and we have a right, to walk down the sidewalk safely, and especially the children who can't really fend for themselves. So what do we do in 2 weeks?
Facts. When I said everybody has a right to feel safe in their own neighborhoods and communities, I meant children. I meant you all as well. And we need to treat our unhoused neighbors with dignity and compassion, but just living and letting live is not doing that. And so I want you to know I'm doing everything I can in my power as a legislator, as a resource allocator. I mentioned some of the steps I've already taken, will continue to take.
But what do we do in 2 weeks?
Well, feel free to reach out to my office, Layla, me and Layla. If you already have an open ticket with the Unified Care Team, they're the ones that are directly responsible for implementing. Reach back out. But it's a priority of mine. We've been very proactive on the same issue. I want that one in particular gone yesterday if I could. If I could do it myself, if I had the authority to execute and do it myself, I would make it happen. So, in any event, follow up.
Councilmember, you
Yeah.
also left out some pretty relevant information.
Oh, sorry. Layla has a lot of, yeah.
I'm the person who's been working on this encampment for the past month, right? So, starting maybe 15th of August, I get an email about this encampment, right? I immediately sent it to the Unified Care Team. So, as Councilmember said, he and I are not equipped to personally respond to encampments. I know you all know that. Just putting it out there. So, I email saying, hey, we really need this handled, right? And so since then, I've gotten at least one email every day about that encampment. Every single email I forward to the Unified Care Team and I say, hey, we really need this solved, right? And so 2 weeks later, council member emails the mayor's office, which doesn't happen every single time. And so, yeah, he personally emails the mayor or the mayor's office and says, hey, we really need this solved. And so we originally got a date of late fall for the remediation of this encampment, and they moved it up several months. So on the 30th of August, we were told that in the next 3 weeks, and I think everybody who reported this encampment on Find It Fix It was told that in the next 3 weeks, so on the 30th of August, they said 3 weeks from now, the encampment will be remediated. So that was 2 weeks ago. So I'm can't say a date, but I just want to put that out there. And so I'll let him go, but I just want to
Yeah.
give that announcement.
So thank you. Layla should be hanging around more than me. Final friendly plug to my, look, old fashioned, I don't care, like informal. If you want to sign up to our newsletter, I just made my own sign up sheet right here, right now, in front of you, before your very own eyes. Come sign up, put up your name. But thank you all for the opportunity to be here tonight.
Thank you,
Thank you for the
Councilmember.
opportunity to serve. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, SW, uniformed civilians and otherwise. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. I know that Councilmember Saka did need to leave, but we do still have an SPD update, and then there is more time for questions. You have specific questions for the Seattle Police Department. Sarge, would you like to join us up here? And Layla is sticking around, so if there's additional questions that